During the winter months in the natural state is prime time for going out on one of the Great Lakes and doing a eagle watching excursion. We've teamed up with the group here at Lake Dardanelle State Park in Russellville, and hopefully we'll spot her one or two. We tagged along with park interpreter Sasha Bowles, who's quite the eagle expert, I might add, and a group of some serious eagle photographers on one of the many free winter lake cruises that Lake Dardanelle State Park offers for viewing our nation's symbol, the bald eagle.
We found a new nest just on the other side of the lock, and those two adults have been hanging out on both sides of the lock and dam, so we'll see if they're hanging out over here today. And then we'll cut across the river channel and skirt the bank over there and go see the eagle nest for sure, and hopefully Mom and Dad will both be home. We're gonna go see if the eagles are home. Have you seen a bald eagle before? It's gonna be bashful. They've been using this nest basically 12 years, plus the 4 years it takes them to become mature. So they're at least 16 years old. So they're about halfway through their life cycle.
Unlike the eagles that migrate here, which are usually gone by the end of February, the nesting ones are of course here year-round. And with baby eagles being born annually, that means the eagle numbers will be kept up.
They typically hatch out in March. Then they'll spend April and May and June feeding them lots of fish and birds and whatever they can find. And then June is typically when they start exercising their wings and learning to fly, so that they can spend the rest of the summer learning how to hunt on their own. Because by October, Mom and Dad kick them out of the nest. So they have roughly 6 months with their parents and they're on their own.
Since there are nesting eagles at Lake Dardanelle State Park, chances are real good of seeing at least one bald eagle on any given outing.
So how many of you have seen a bald eagle in the wild before?
I've never come here where we haven't seen eagles. The park interpreters are just fantastic as far as their knowledge of what you're actually seeing and pointing out the areas that you need to photograph and see, and everybody works together well to stay out of each other's way so we all get our shots. I've been photographing eagles for about 35 years, and I photograph them here in Arkansas and in Colorado and other places around the country, wherever I can get to them. And of course, I'm getting older now, so it's a little harder for me to get to them like it used to be, but these trips are great. As you can see, we have the younger children on them that come too. And they get a lot of education to get to see these animals in the wild. It's not on a view screen of a TV monitor. It's a part of life, and I think there's so much more need to see that and so much more need to experience that.
Well, you definitely have the lens for the photography.
Yes, it almost cost me divorce, but I got it. But it worked out. I've been waiting for a long time to get a really good lens. This is a really great lens. It's a 150 to 600 Tamron. And they finally got them to where they're affordable. And I don't want to give them a big commercial, but they're a great lens for the amateur outdoor shooter.
He works out on the road, and I found out this was going to be taking place, and he loves eagles. And I was like, it's just too perfect. He's home. He's usually not. So we came by and saw if there was a space open yesterday, and
there was.
Got booked in to see.
And this is great.
It was wonderful to see so much. I told him, I said, don't bank on it. It's an animal, and they hide when they feel like it. But it was beautiful today.
Avery, what'd you think of seeing that eagle? Did you see that eagle?
Yes.
What'd you think?
Was he big?
Was he as big as you thought he would be?
Yes.
Yeah? What else did you see out there? See any pelicans?
Yes.
Yeah, they were pretty cool, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, give me 5. All right. Johnson Spring Preserve, south of Berryville, located within the Pension Mountain Mixed-Use Trail System, is quite the picturesque area with a relatively short hike to the spring itself. So this is kind of the trailhead here after you cross the road and head on down a quarter of a mile down to the springs. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly.
Hiking with us is Berryville's Director of Parks and Recreation, Joe Scott. Just a little ways down the trail is a kiosk with a map of the Pension Mountain Mixed-Use Trails showing the location of Johnson Spring. Once you get past the kiosk, the trail begins a gradual steep descent, which will eventually lead you down to historic Johnson Spring. It's this portion of the trail that is meant for foot traffic only. The trail winds its way along some really impressive bluffs and colorful rock formations. A great place to stop and take a breather. Before you know it, you'll be approaching the springs.
So this is the eminence, really 2 eminences of Johnson Spring proper. Kind of comes out in 2 locations here at the bluff line, one sealed location and then the other pipe that we can see. And then it goes down to a concrete cistern here. And this was the eminence for the water system built in 1933 and 34.
For the city of Berryville.
For the city of Berryville, exactly. So it was, at the time, it was the largest gravity-fed water system in the Midwest.
So it was gravity-fed for 6 miles?
Yes, exactly. So, and you can picture, if you ever dug in Arkansas, you know you're likely to hit a couple of rocks. So I'm sure digging from here to Berryville was quite an epic thing. But they did lay that pipe, and when they turned the system on, it overtopped the water tower at the square at Berryville. So, and I think that the mayor, apparently the mayor sounded the fire alarm as a good thing. It's like celebrating the fact that they now had another water source. And this continued to be an important water source for the city of Berryville up through, I think, the 60s and 70s. And then they developed other water sources. But again, significant in its historic value. And it's nice that these trails, you know, open up an opportunity for people to get easier access to it. So it's just one part of the trail system here. But you can see the remnants of it. There's some clay piping inside of the caged area, as I mentioned, then just below the bridge here, out to the cistern, and then there is a pipe that's visible on some of the trails. You can actually see the remnants of some of the cast iron pipe that goes down to Berryville.
And you know, you kind of stand here and kind of take it all in, and you kind of start to think of what civilization, you know, made use of this, in the spring especially.
Absolutely. I'm convinced. I have photographs from 1905 or so where there are people here on the bluff line behind us, a father and his daughter. That's kind of neat, but I have to believe going back 100 years before that native peoples for thousands of years undoubtedly have come here as a water source. So it's kind of neat to have that sort of touch with history here. I like that idea that we're in the same place and probably not much changed since then.
You're very fortunate to have something like this as a city park.
Yeah, exactly. The park itself, the acreage here, almost 400 acres, was a portion of the Spring reserve for Johnson Springs. So that was the reason for the land held. And as I mentioned earlier, kind of remarkable that it wasn't logged over that period of time until the trail system was developed in about 2009 and 10, when we started the first phase of building on the trails. So just the fact that the land could have remained pretty much intact as it was when we made the purchase. So the city took on the land in 1933 and held it until it was developed as this trail system, which we see today.
Just a few steps above the spring is a wonderful view of Berryville and the surrounding countryside. If you'd like to take in another historic site at the Pension Mountain Trail area, just about 100 yards or so down from the trailhead parking off to the right is the old Pension Mountain Schoolhouse, which dates back to the early 1900s. At one time, this schoolhouse may have also functioned as a church, as evident from the hymnals left behind. It's hoped that this historic building can be restored, but for now, only an occasional breeze comes in, turning the pages and blowing throughout. Have you ever wondered what the oldest standing log structure is in the state? Well, it happens to be the Rice-Upshaw house, just south of Dalton in the northeast corner of the state, built in 1828.
We believe that Reuben Rice and his wife Lydia and their older sons came here around 1812 from Tennessee on a wagon train, and they settled here somewhere fairly close to the 11 Point River and in what would become Davidson Township. Of course, at the time they came here, there was nothing here, no towns, no roads, really no other people that we know of.
Being the entrepreneur that he was, it didn't take long for Rice to establish a rural trade center. The log structure that he built in 1828 first served as a one-story store and loom house. The Rice family produced and sold fine fabrics such as linen from flax grown on the farm. Adjoining the larger main room is a small side room with a log wall partition, a rare surviving feature of American vernacular architecture. Evidence of shelving exists in this room, which would have been necessary for storage of merchandise, including cloth that was produced for sale. Nearby the house, there's a log granary or barn dating back to the 1820s. Records show that the Rice family sold corn and wheat, as well as taking these grains in trade for other merchandise. The trading center also served as a community gathering place, election center, and a headquarters for road builders. In the mid-1840s, the Rice's youngest son expanded the original one-story structure to serve as his family's home by adding an upper half-story and a stone chimney with 2 fireboxes to accommodate both levels. A photograph that was taken around 1900 shows the family standing in front of their expanded house. And so there were like 5 generations that lived here?
Well, let's see. Reuben, and then Thomas Blackman, and his daughter Lydia, and Lydia's who married the Upshaw. After the Civil War, the Upshaws came west from Georgia and settled here. She married Andrew Jackson Upshaw, and that's how the Upshaw name came to be associated with this farm. And so after Lydia married Jack, they had a large family. Their daughter Mary Ann was my great-grandmother. Her daughter was Lily Mae, and her son was Ray, and I'm his daughter.
The Rice-Upshaw site is a restoration success story in all aspects. It went from a 19th century trade center to a 21st century education center.
It's amazing that this structure is still, is still existing and has come to a use that no one could have possibly anticipated way back when. But I think the family, the Rice family descendants, I think they have to be given so much credit because this was their family's home place. It had been in existence with a Rice descendant owning it for all of those nearly 200 years. It was in danger of literally going away, disappearing from the face of the earth. And that bothered them a great deal. So when they realized that there was an opportunity that this structure, known as the Old Monarch in family lore, that's what they called it, that it had a chance to have another life, another existence as an educational center, they decided, I think so very unselfishly, that they would rather give it to someone for safekeeping and for preservation than to see it disappear. And so that's exactly what they did. They gave it to Black River Technical College contingent upon the college restoring it and utilizing it as an educational setting for students from now on.
The Rice-Upshaw Historic Site is open April through October on Tuesdays and on the second Saturday.
There's a need inside us, or at least in me, to learn about my history and then pass it on. Pass it on not only to my children and grandchildren, but also the school groups who come out. Tell them this is how they lived, this is who they were. Can you imagine a family with 5 or 6 children living in this house with no heat, no air conditioning, no refrigerator, no internet, no TV, no Walmart? And it's something to think about.
And that it is, and especially to visit. If you're a tamale lover, there's a place in Lake Village that is a must-stop, Rhoda's famous hot tamales. And it's not just the hot tamales, there's a little bit of soul food mixed in. Rhoda's famous hot tamale making all started about 6 decades ago.
Well, my husband, at that time, he had an auntie living, and she came over to my house and she asked me, she said, Rhoda, you want to make some hot tamales? I said, no, I don't want to make no hot tamales. She said, well, I can show you how to make them. And she came over there and gonna show me how to make them one day. And they didn't come out right. I learned how to, got the picture how to do it, but they didn't come out the way I wanted them to come out. So I decided to go to making them the way I wanted to make them. And the folks loved them. They loved the way I was making them, and they love them today. I don't care where I make them and where they go, they tell me how good they are.
And you say they like them so much, love them so much, that they come from all over.
Everywhere. I mean, towns and different places I never heard of. I mean, Florida, Little Rock, El Rey, everywhere. I can't name a town they don't come from.
Wow.
Little Louisiana, Lake Providence, Greenville, Mississippi. They come from everywhere.
Huh.
They really do. And I used to go everywhere catering, you know, myself, like Dumas and Pine Bluff and Little Rock and Del Mar and Monticello. And I used to go all around selling, but they said it was too hard out there for me and I don't need to be out there, so I come off the road. I just now sell at my business.
And besides the hot tamales, I see you've got a little bit of everything here, even the pies, homemade pies, soul food.
Soul food, I even cook the white tops, coconut pies, chocolate pies, lemon icebox pies, lemon meringue pies, half coconut, half chocolate, half pecan, half sweet potato. And whole ones at that. I make whole, but I mix the half too. People come in here and they be surprised and shocked to see half and half. But I mix it all. And then I cooks dinner. And you know, when people come in, they love my dinners. I kind of slacked up a little bit on them now though, but I used to cook them all the time. Plenty of stuff, and they sell it all.
Now, do you change up the menu day to day?
Sometimes I do, yeah, from days to day, different, you know, weeks. Like today, yesterday was different from this. The day is, you know, I make the macaroni and cheese, the yams, and the butter beans, and the okra and tomatoes, and cream potatoes, and fried chicken, and barbecue ribs, and barbecue chicken. You know, all that. And I make individual pies and the big pies and all.
Who you got helping out here?
That's right there's my daughter. That's right down my granddaughter. That's my daughter's daughter.
So you're passing it down to them?
No, I ain't passing it down.
Oh, they ain't passing it down yet? Okay. Sorry.
They just helping me some.
Okay.
And that's that man you see over yonder, my husband. He my husband for 60-some years.
Wow, congratulations. Rhoda's daughter warned our videographer Chuck Durham to stay out of the kitchen, but he managed to sneak in anyway. I mean, we had to get a shot or two of those tasty, scrumptious tamales in the pot. Later, Rhoda asked us to sit down and have lunch with her to enjoy all the tasty soul food delicacies that they had prepared. All right, I'll join you. You won't have to eat by yourself.
Thank you.
And of course, Rhoda didn't want to leave out videographer Chuck, especially since he almost got thrown out of the kitchen.
Come on, sit down and eat. Huh?
Yeah, Chuck, come on, sit down and eat. Being successful in the restaurant business is tough, and Rhoda says she thinks about that a lot.
And I'm thankful, but you know, I wondered myself, how did I get way out there like that, starting off real young. But God have blessed this woman. He have blessed me.
And now, Rhoda is blessing others. Even smell delicious. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Not too hot and not too mild, just right. So if you're ever in Lake Village, you gotta check out Rhoda's famous hot tamales. And to view this episode again, or any one of our others, visit our website at aetn.org/exploringarkansas. And don't forget to like us on our Facebook fan page. And we'll see you again the next time for another exciting adventure on Exploring Arkansas.